Have you ever known a relationship was toxic and still couldn't leave? Have you ever escaped one dramatic situation only to find yourself in another? Different person, same script. You promise yourself it won't happen again, and yet it does. This loop has a name. Actually, it has two. Nietzsche called it the last man. A psychologist named Karpman called it the drama triangle. These aren't just theories. They describe the exact system keeping you stuck. I call it the Narcissus Trap. The name comes from the Greek myth of Narcissus, a young hunter so handsome that everyone admired him. One day he saw his own reflection in a pool of water and became completely captivated by it. He just couldn't look away. He didn't realize he was staring at an image and not the real thing. That pool is the social world, and the reflection, that's the false self, the version of you shaped by approval, status, and other people's expectations. Narcissus forgot who he really was, and that's exactly what happens to us. The Narcissus Trap is not about narcissistic abuse. It's not about clinical narcissism. It is about becoming attached to the version of yourself that gets approval. So if you're stuck in toxic relationships, constant emotional drama, or feel like you're performing your life instead of living it, this will help you see the system behind it and what to do next. I'm Linda, your guide through the journey of your inner and outer lives. I'm a real person and not an AI voice. I've spent decades translating depth psychology and ancient philosophy, as well as spiritual wisdom, into practical tools so you can actually use them. Most people live in toxic dynamics for one simple reason. They don't realize they're inside a system. The social world is the stage where this happens. It's made of status, approval, reputation, and survival. Shakespeare called this all the world's a stage, but he left something out. If you don't know you're acting, you start believing the role is you. You become the strong one, the fixer, the victim, the rebel. And the longer you play it, the harder it becomes to step away. Most people spend years rewriting lines for a character and wonder why life still feels numb, empty, or fake. When you're interacting with others in the social world, your soul is in virtual mode. By virtual soul, I mean the version of you that only exists in reaction to other people. The ancient philosophers saw two versions of you, your true self and your false self. The play is your life. It becomes a tragedy when your false self is the one on stage. In Jekyll and Hyde, the good doctor and the monster look like two opposite selves, but both faces are false. One is the polished, socially acceptable mask. The other is the acted-out shadow. Neither is the whole real person underneath. For the full story and breakdown, see the video True Self versus False Self, the Jekyll and Hyde Trap. For you, this is a public performative layer that runs on roles, reputation, and external approval. On the surface, that reflection looks great. It's built from what your family praised or punished, and what got you approval, attention, and safety. Psychologically, it feels like, this is who I have to be so people will love me, so I won't be abandoned, so I'll finally be enough. But underneath, your true self is starved. That's why so many people wake up one day and think, I did everything I was supposed to do. I played the role perfectly. Why do I still feel so hollow? That's your psyche reacting. You've been living as your false self inside the social world. Performance instead of presence. A life lived in the narcissistic trap. Inside this trap, most people rotate between 4 roles. Once you see them, you'll recognize your pattern immediately. And here's the uncomfortable part. Every toxic relationship needs at least 2 actors. So which role are you playing? In 1968, psychologist Stephen Karpman mapped out 3 of those roles that people play: persecutor, rescuer, and victim. He called it the drama triangle. Once you're inside one of these roles, you get pulled into a cycle where everyone is reacting to each other, but no one is really free. Nietzsche saw the same trap a century earlier. And thus spoke Zarathustra. He described the last man as someone who has given up on growth and settled for comfort. The opposite of his ideal, the last man doesn't fight the system. He doesn't even know he's in one. As I describe these, see if you can spot the role you play most often. Each is a different way of surviving inside the Narcissus Trap. And each one has deficiency needs. In other words, each role is lacking something that they need from others. The lion, the 5 card, needs someone to control. The knight needs someone to save. The sheep needs someone to control or save them. And the zombie needs something more than what can be found in the social world. Which role do you think you play most? Tell me in the comments. Let's start with the first role in the drama triangle. The lion is the persecutor in the drama triangle, the one who attacks, controls, shames, and dominates. In the virtual soul mode, it sits in your false intellect element. This can look like the harsh parent, the cruel boss, or even the inner critic in your own head. On the outside, the lion looks powerful and strong, but psychologically the lion is terrified of losing control. It uses anger, blame, and sometimes emotional or verbal abuse to keep everyone in line. Can you think of a relationship where someone played the lion, or where you did? Next, the role of knight is played by your false emotions. It is the rescuer in the drama triangle. This role shines as the one who saves, fixes, or heals people. The knight seems noble and kind, and often they are. But this is also a trap. The knight's identity depends on having someone to rescue. Without a victim to save, the knight doesn't know who they are. And who is the knight trying to save the victim from? The persecutor. The knight keeps the emotional drama going by always needing another crisis to solve. If you're a natural healer or helper, this one can sting a little. Have you ever felt like life just happens to you? That's the sheep, the victim in the drama triangle. And sheep stay stuck by clinging to the basics: food, shelter, safety, and acceptance. This is the part of you that says, I can't do anything. They decide everything. Life just happens to me. Sometimes this comes from real trauma, real powerlessness, or real injustice. But when the victim role hardens into an identity, it becomes another psychological trap. The sheep gives its power away to the strategic line, to the emotional knight, to the system, to them. And here's the dark part. The whole social world runs on this. The victim becomes fuel for everyone else's role. Lions need someone to control. Knights need someone to save. The system needs someone to blame. As long as everyone stays in these roles, nothing truly changes. The drama repeats, and the deeper self never gets to stand up. This is how toxic relationship cycles sustain themselves for years, maybe even decades. And here's the part that no one talks about. And finally, the zombie role, Nietzsche's last man. This is your virtual soul's enslaved will, the captive audience in the play of life. Zombies aren't in the classic drama triangle. They're Nietzsche's warning, the opposite of his Übermensch, and here you're disengaged, numb, culturally cynical, spiritually disconnected. The zombie mocks the system, refuses the game, and lives on the margins. A Diogenes-style dropout. You sit in the audience and watch life just go by, as if other people are the actors and you're just observing. From a distance, it can look like freedom. No boss, no beliefs, no expectations. But inside, it's a different kind of trap. A heavy emptiness, a deep numbness. If you've ever felt that hollow, "Is this it?" feeling, you know this place. And yet the most dangerous part is still ahead. Before we go further, check in with yourself for a moment. Which of these roles do you recognize most in yourself right now? Is it the lion, the knight, the sheep, or the zombie? Drop it in the comments. I've made the full Social Self card set free for subscribers. Links in the description. Now let's look at what happens when these roles start to break down. At some point, something in you starts to crack. For some people, it looks like burnout or depression. For others, it shows up as constant anger at the system, or a cold, sneering cynicism about almost everything. You're suspended in between. You're in limbo. Not really in the culture, not really beyond it, and it eats at you. Out of that tension, a dangerous question eventually appears. It's not, how do I improve my role? And it's not, how do I become a better lion, a better knight, or a more comfortable zombie? But something much sharper. You ask, is that all there is? The moment you let that question land, the Narcissus Trap starts to crack. You're no longer just negotiating your role. You're quietly starting to question the entire stage. Inside the social world, you can spend years trying to perfect your role or rebelling against it entirely. But there is no winning role inside this system. As long as your sense of self is built on the social world, with status, approval, rebellion, withdrawal, your false self stays on stage. You just change where you stand on the board. The only real move is not to find a better role, but to step off the board entirely, to discover that there are other worlds your soul can actually live in, worlds that aren't built on constant performance or permanent rebellion, but on presence, truth, and inner authority, a life where you're not just reacting to culture, fighting it, fixing it, or fleeing from it, but living from something deeper than all of that. It comes from living as your true self. Most people get brief hints of this other life. There are moments of real stillness, conversations where you feel completely seen, acts of courage or beauty or honesty that make no sense inside the logic of the social world. In the next video, we'll start exploring those worlds more directly and what it looks like to move into them as part of your ordinary daily life. So I'll leave you with this question. If you already sense that the social world isn't the whole story, what would it look like to stop performing and start living? If this helped you see the social world as a trap instead of a real life, the next step is to see what's beyond it. I'll walk you into the other worlds your soul can actually live in, worlds of real satisfaction, rest, and joy, not just better roles. And if you want to keep exploring this inner map, hit subscribe. Join me in the next video as we walk this journey together.